Hi folks, I decided to make this video after I saw a video that my friend Hannah Smolinski, a CPA, colleague, fellow YouTuber, educating the world in small business financial topics, created this video talking about some of the pros and cons of QuickBooks Online. And it occurred to me that after 500 plus videos I've created about QuickBooks, I do sprinkle here and there things I have issues with in the software, and I point out what I think they should be improving, but I've never done a video where I sort of break down all the things that are, let's say, wrong, or all the disadvantages of working with QuickBooks. In this video, I'm going to break down what I think are the pros and cons of the QuickBooks Online platform as compared to any other sort of alternatives. So before we jump into the negative part of the cons or the disadvantages, let me clarify some of the great, amazing things that QuickBooks Online has done for the accounting industry as a whole, and or how we can label QuickBooks Online a true revolution in accounting. Well, number one, QuickBooks Online is 100% cloud-based software. They were not the first to do it. There's many other companies before QuickBooks Online went online. Many other companies had moved their apps to the cloud. So I don't think QuickBooks in particular were pioneers of it. However, today they're probably the ones and the only ones that really have brought cloud accounting into the mainstream. There are millions and millions of QuickBooks Online users, and something that a decade ago, I would probably say 95% of small business owners would not even fathom the concept of having their accounting data on the cloud. Now there's millions and millions of people that lead with that are totally okay with that. And I think that even though people have grown to trust the cloud and online banking and all that stuff, I think QuickBooks has facilitated this revolution in accounting of moving things into the cloud. So having more than 5 million users working with QuickBooks Online on the cloud, 100% cloud-based software is certainly revolution in accounting. The other really cool thing about having your data in the cloud, particularly with QuickBooks Online, is that you can use a Mac PC, tablet, smartphone, Chromebook. I mean, you have a lot of flexibility on how you can access it. Yeah, some of the disadvantages are if you don't have internet, you can access it. But honestly, I live in the United States, and within the context of the United States, there's very small areas in the country where internet is an issue. Access to internet is very ubiquitous in the United States. So from my perspective, and in the small businesses that I serve, it's a non-issue. I do recognize there are places in the US and in the rest of the world where internet is spotty or not available. And obviously QuickBooks Online is not even something that someone like that will consider. The other part that I think QuickBooks Online has moved in terms of this revolution of accounting is the interconnectivity with third-party apps. I mean, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of companies that just exist to serve the QuickBooks Online user through their own niche app, an app that solves a particular problem that QuickBooks is not necessarily designed to fix, maybe because of the shortfalls of the software, or because QuickBooks cannot solve every single company's, every single industry's problem. There's app developers that developed an app to solve the issues and operating and management challenges through their apps, and their apps connect to QuickBooks, and they only really truly exist because they connect to QuickBooks and because there are so many QuickBooks users. So QuickBooks Online has basically expanded the pie in terms of how other developers can enter into the small business solution world. The other part that it's, again, part of this revolution of accounting is the amount of certified QuickBooks advisors that are out there. Now, granted, it's free in the United States to get certified as a QuickBooks Online ProAdvisor, and obviously it being free, you're going to have a huge volume, and I fully believe that quality is more important than quantity. However, if you search in Google or in the ProAdvisor listing website, if you search for help with QuickBooks versus with any other software out there, you're going to find the most amount of certified people that work with QuickBooks. Again, granted, many certified people are complete bogus. They don't know anything. They're certified in paper only. Trust me, I've been in this industry long enough where I can tell you there's really a handful of consultants that I believe to be truly, truly good at using QuickBooks. But that's besides the point, because sometimes small businesses just need a little bit of help, not really big or complex help. And a lot of these advisors, the right majority, can help with those matters. So having possibly the biggest database of consultants, accountants, bookkeepers that support QuickBooks Online is probably one of their biggest assets and part of this revolution of accounting that Intuit has built. The other interesting piece is how inelastic pricing is with QuickBooks Online. And if you remember economics courses, there's this concept called price elasticity, which basically says, will the consumer buy less if the price goes up, right? And logic dictates that if the price goes up for something, less people are going to want to buy it. QuickBooks Online has gone up in price maybe 3 or 4 times in the past 5 years. That probably should be in the negative side, and I'll circle back to that when I talk about the cons or the disadvantages. But what's interesting, at least from QuickBooks' perspective, is I do not see that many people leaving the QuickBooks Online platform when the price goes up. And maybe that's probably the reason why they keep jacking up the price, because they don't see themselves losing customers. Yes, I see every once in a while someone leave the QuickBooks Online platform, go to QuickBooks Desktop or some of the competitors or whatever because of the price changes. But for the most part, from a statistically significant point of view, it's really pretty price inelastic, or it has been in the last couple of years. The other really interesting piece, and I think QuickBooks Online has had a big weight to move this, is getting the banks to open their APIs. So banks, traditional brick and mortar banks, have always been difficult to get data from them. You have to log into their portal, and even their portals are limited in data. Banks are being protective of their clients' information, but QuickBooks and banks have gotten together. They built these APIs where banks can actually transfer data directly into QuickBooks, such as PDF bank statements. We're seeing thousands and thousands of banks that when you connect to QuickBooks, it transfers a PDF bank statement. So it saves the small business owner, the accountant, the step of having to log into the bank to download that. That's huge. And pretty soon we're going to possibly start seeing check images and deposit images with details being transferred through those APIs. Again, from an accounting perspective, that's a complete revolution, because that's something that takes forever to try to get from our clients and that sort of thing. So that gives you a general idea of why QuickBooks Online has been so impactful in this world. The other piece, more of a business model perspective, Intuit has built within QuickBooks multiple service offerings. QuickBooks is a bank, like QuickBooks, the company, Intuit, the company, is a bank. Inside the QuickBooks product, they offer and cross-sell, and again, they're selling solutions to the small business world. A banking product called QuickBooks Cash is basically a virtual bank account, and it serves and it functions the same way a bank account works. They also have QuickBooks Payments that have existed for a long time. That's to process credit card payments, so when your customers pay you. There's QuickBooks Capital, where they can sell you loans, and QuickBooks, the company, is both. It's processing payments from your customers, credit card payments from your customers. It's serving as a bank and also as a lending platform. So all they really need in order for them to be a full bank is to have a credit card, which would not surprise me to see in the next couple of years QuickBooks announce some sort of QuickBooks credit card that they start selling to their small business clients, and the ability to do wire transfers, that's not available yet. That's more of a traditional banking feature. But you might see where they do partnerships with other companies, such as their partnership with Melio, which is a company that allows you to pay third parties digitally and electronically. So with the partnership with Melio, it's almost like QuickBooks is doing the entire thing, because the way the interface is with Melio, it feels like it's all built in the product. So you can also make payments to third parties. So again, QuickBooks is a bank, or is becoming a financial technology company, is becoming a full-blown bank. The other interesting piece, and I as an accountant don't like it, but it's the truth, is QuickBooks also offers bookkeeping services. I mean, they offer bookkeeping services through a program called Bookkeeping Live. You can have your opinion about it. I'm pretty sure that most seasoned accountants like me are going to see that as a negative thing just because they're competing with us. So it feels like they're competing with accounting professionals. And also, I think most of my colleagues, my close colleagues, would agree that the quality of that work is not as good as if a true professional that does this for a living, not does software and dabbles in bookkeeping services as well, offering that. So, QuickBooks again is a revolution in the accounting industry in many positive and negative ways. The last one I think would be interesting to mention is QuickBooks has total domination over the small business segment. So any businesses from startup to maybe like 5 million in sales, in annual sales, and from 0 to 20 employees, they have complete control and domination of this market. I don't know what the market share is. I believe it's probably over 80%, which is pretty dominant. But again, I could be wrong, but I'm sure I'm not wrong by more than maybe 5%. So 75, 80%. That is QuickBooks' market domination in that segment. On the larger side of the small businesses, like over 5 million in sales or over 20 employees, which they call mid-market, that QuickBooks has a lot more competition. These companies are willing to pay a lot more for software. So competitors can get really creative on what they can offer. And they don't have to, have QuickBooks Online to be a really simple, streamlined software versus this more robust type of systems. So there's a lot more competition there, and QuickBooks is investing heavily in penetrating that market as well. You're going to start seeing that with a lot of commercials on QuickBooks Enterprise, which is a desktop product, but they offer a cloud-based version for that when it's hosted, and QuickBooks Online Advanced. So you're going to see a lot of commercials, a lot of marketing money, a lot of innovation money going into penetrating the larger businesses, we're calling this mid-market. So these are all the pros, I would say, maybe to the industry or to QuickBooks themselves. Now I want to break down some of the cons and some of the disadvantages, mostly from a consumer perspective on working with QuickBooks Online. The first one is, and probably the most obvious one, is you do not have total control of your data. Because it's a cloud-based software, you are abdicating the responsibility of safeguarding that data to a third party. Now, QuickBooks has servers and backup systems, and they're a huge multi-billion-dollar company, and I've been working with them for so long. I got no reason to believe that they're an evil corporation trying to steal your data, but I cannot predict the future. So who the heck knows, what risks are to have all your data being controlled by a third-party company. So for that, or because of that, I recommend that you back up your data locally as often as possible, because again, you don't have control over that data. Now, backing up online cloud-based data is not a simple process. Sometimes you have to use a third-party company that backs up the data in a different cloud server just in case. But then if QuickBooks disappears, you have nowhere to restore that data. You can export Excel spreadsheets of that data, but again, you have to then rebuild it in some other system. You can export it to QuickBooks Desktop, which we can talk about a little bit later on. But again, that's, I would say, the major disadvantage is that you kind of have to trust that Intuit has everything put together in order to safeguard your data, which today, as of this video, I trust that right now. But again, I cannot guarantee anything, and we cannot predict the future. The other interesting piece is cost. Okay, so when you look at desktop software, at least from the last 10 years to 20 years, which yes, it has gone up in price, but for the most part, desktop software is something you buy once and maybe upgrade every 3 to 4 years to just have the latest version if the software company keeps making new versions. Microsoft has done that for a year. Usually or traditionally, buying desktop software, it's a lot less expensive than cloud-based software, because with desktop software, normally you can access multiple databases. You can have multiple copies of the database. You can run multiple companies, multiple entities. And then with QuickBooks Online and most cloud-based type apps, it's going to be per company, right? Per client, per entity. So the cost comparison between the traditional desktop type software and the cloud-based software, it's just really, really wide. Cloud is going to be a lot more expensive. Now, granted, most software companies are developing cloud-based web apps, not desktop apps. And you can see the writing on the wall where at some point in the future, computers are not going to have any software installed in them. They're just going to have an operating system and everything's going to be cloud-based. It might not be too long until that happens. A perfect example for that is DVR, right? So 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when you recorded something from your TV, a soccer game or a telenovela or whatever, you recorded something, it was stored in a physical hard drive in your physical hardware that was in your house under your TV. Now you have these DVR machines that don't store anything in the hardware itself. It is hosted at Comcast, Xfinity, AT&T, DirecTV, whatever, is hosted there. So you're recording it, but you're not really recording it. You're just accessing stuff on demand. So again, if you don't have internet, you don't have access to it, you can't play it back. And that's kind of the same concept of not having control over your data. And the comparison between traditional desktop versus cloud. The other piece when it comes to cost is if you were to compare QuickBooks Online to their competing solutions, such as Xero, Sage One, FreshBooks, Wave, Zoho Books, all these companies are pretty much, they exist to try to take some of the QuickBooks market share. QuickBooks is amongst, if not, and I haven't done a full market comparison, but it is amongst, if not the most expensive compared to everyone else. Now, I probably should have mentioned this on the pros and that sort of thing, but the feature set in QuickBooks Online far surpasses every other cloud-based accounting software in its same cost category. There's no other cloud accounting software for under $200 a month that can do as much as QuickBooks Online Plus and QuickBooks Online Advanced can do, period. And if I'm wrong, put it in the comments. Tell me, Hector, check out this piece of this program, and I'll gladly learn about it and make a video retracting that statement. But I'm pretty confident that QuickBooks Online in a feature set compared to other cloud-based accounting software surpasses everyone else when it comes to features. But in the con part of the disadvantage is when you compare QuickBooks Online to its sister or brother, QuickBooks Desktop, QuickBooks Desktop just blows QuickBooks Online out of the water in feature set. You do need to understand QuickBooks Desktop has existed since the early 90s. We're talking about 30 years of software making and improvements versus QuickBooks Online that has existed for more than 10 years, but it hasn't been a serious contender for at least 6 or 7 years. So they're kind of behind the 8 ball of development. And the QuickBooks Online developers are not the same as the QuickBooks Desktop developers. So they never try to make QuickBooks Online a replacement of QuickBooks Desktop. They make QuickBooks Online an entirely different platform with different goals and purposes. And it seems like they truly try to avoid making QuickBooks Online a replacement of QuickBooks Desktop. So they're trying to make it its own thing. Let's call it that. So that's just a really interesting way to kind of think about it, with these, cost and feature limitations, especially when compared with, the cloud competitors and their desktop counterparts. The other one that I think is really worth discussing is it's really hard to get out of QuickBooks Online and into a competing product. Yes, you can do backups of QuickBooks Online into QuickBooks Desktop. Yes, you can back up into an Excel file and have that database backed up in there. But it's almost impossible for an average person to go to Xero or to FreshBooks or to Zoho Books or Odoo or whatever, a competitor, cloud-based accounting software, and just have a seamless transition of data. It's going to require a lot of sort of techie data download and Excel database cleanup and then import, and then some of the data is not going to download and it's just not going to look the same. Just migrating from QuickBooks Online to another competitor, it's impossible, or it's very, 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 very difficult. So that's actually another one to make sure you keep in mind. And if you do migrate to QuickBooks Desktop and QuickBooks Desktop exists 10 years from now or whatever, you also lose a little bit in that migration process. I mean, you get 95% of your data, but you do lose some in the process. The last one I want to mention is support. And I think that customer support, technical support is QuickBooks' Intuit's big Achilles heel. It has been for many, many years. And I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. And I'll tell you from someone that has been supporting small business clients in accounting concepts and QuickBooks concepts for a very long time, that providing free technical support is very, very hard. And on top of that, separating what's technical support of the software and technical support of accounting issues are two very difficult things to do. It's a very gray area, and it's very difficult to mark that difference between, look, this is support on the software versus these are accounting problems that you have. And all those things get mixed and jumbled so often, where customers always perceive their technical support to be bad, because technical support cannot fix accounting, bookkeeping problems. And it's hard to separate those two. So granted, it's very difficult to support. But that being said, if you ask anyone, if you go online and you ask about QuickBooks support, especially with QuickBooks Online, I would say the great majority of customers, great majority of accountants will agree that this is their big Achilles heel. So as QuickBooks tries to continue to grow this market and continue to dominate this market, this is where they need to invest the most. They need to invest in bringing support from overseas to the United States, tapping into the great database of QuickBooks ProAdvisors are out there, and bring the talent in-house. So the people that were out there independently helping people are now in-house giving them support. I mean, QuickBooks needs to really, really invest in support. So my recommendation is, if you're looking for accounting software and you're looking for the most powerful online-based software, again, for under $200 a month, and you can't afford the 25, 50, 80, 180, whatever it costs for whatever version of QuickBooks Online that you have, and you don't have heavy needs for custom reports and custom forms and job costing and inventory, which is the feature set issue I was telling you, where QuickBooks Online falls short versus desktop. So if you don't have any of those specific needs, and you are not buying the software with the premise that their 800 QuickBooks number or whatever, you'll be able to call and they'll be able to help you solve every accounting problem, then obviously it's going to be an issue for you to buy QuickBooks. But if you are a service-based company and you try QuickBooks for 30 days and it works well, and you are going to probably leverage an accountant like me, a bookkeeper, a professional that you're paying for, professional services to help you support it, and only use QuickBooks technical support for truly technical issues that are beyond the control of a professional and accountant, then your experience with QuickBooks Online will be incredible. Unfortunately, the problem is expectations, and the marketing messaging for QuickBooks for a very long time has been, this is super easy. You can do your own accounting. Accounting is something that anybody can do, blah, blah, blah. And then basically when people buy the software and they're buying best-in-class software, because QuickBooks Online is best-in-class, and they're paying the monthly fee, they're also expecting things to happen magically. And that's not the case, right? I built an entire livelihood around consulting on QuickBooks Desktop and QuickBooks Online, because this is not easy stuff. This is hard stuff. But it's hardest doing the setup. It's hardest doing the learning process. It's hardest doing the implementation and the connectivity. Once you get a pro to hook you up, set you up, teach you, organize it, and put it in such a way that it becomes very easy for you to work from that starting point, then it becomes a really, really easy process and a really wonderful experience. So I wanted to give you the lowdown of all the things that I think are great about the cloud-based platform and the advantages that Intuit is really reaping, right? All these benefits they're reaping from being not just best in class, but being truly revolutionaries in the accounting world. And then all the shortcomings that, again, if QuickBooks, strategically speaking, they watch this video and they get the feedback from their customers and they bridge all the gaps, right? And they find solutions to all these disadvantages or all these cons, then they're going to continue to dominate the market for a very long time. I, for once, am a QuickBooks reseller because I love the product. I don't love the product because I love software, because I don't know anything about software design or software coding. I couldn't tell you whether QuickBooks is a greatly designed or a greatly coded software. I love the software because it's a means to an end. I'm an accountant and a business consultant. I care about financial clarity. I care about people growing their businesses. I care about the livelihood of families, of the small business owners that have this passion to serve the world through their business. And QuickBooks happens to be the best-in-class software that can help me as a tool to achieve that purpose and achieve that goal. And because of that, I love QuickBooks, both QuickBooks Online and QuickBooks Desktop, and I have different clients for different purposes. But to be honest with you, in the day of tomorrow, a better company were to make a better software that helps me achieve my goals to help my clients, I will start loving that company as well. I don't love QuickBooks for the sake of loving QuickBooks. I love QuickBooks because I think it's the best alternative, is the best option from all the options that are out there. So again, QuickBooks ain't no saint, okay? They increase their prices. They're making a lot of money. The company keeps increasing in value. Intuit uses the metadata of their customers to make their software better. In many ways, I think QuickBooks uses their accountants or the accounting community that codes transactions and stuff like that to teach the software how to automate some of the work that we're doing, accountants are doing. And at some point, bookkeeping and accounting work, or a piece of it, will be very irrelevant because the software will be able to do it with 95% accuracy. I am very, very clear-minded that Intuit is utilizing all the resources to make their software better and to grow their piece of the pie, even if it eats away from where some accountants and some of the accounting industry is eating from. And I get it. And even though I'm clear to that, I continue to be a partner of QuickBooks because I personally innovate. I personally look for ways to serve my clients beyond, the stuff that QuickBooks can do. So I'm always looking for, okay, QuickBooks solve this problem. I no longer need to manually click here, click there, do data entry to solve this problem. QuickBooks can do it. Let me move into the next thing that I can do to help my clients. Look, in the small business consulting work, there's unlimited ways you can help people. There's unlimited ways you can help individuals improve their livelihoods and make better decisions for their business. I don't need to cling to the fact that I used to love the way I used to do data entry for my clients and I used to make a livelihood with that. And now QuickBooks Online is sort of eating away my lunch on the data entry part of the business because the automatic categorizations, or maybe because of the QuickBooks Live Bookkeeping Services that's aiming to replace some of that piece of the work. I get it, but I'm not threatened by it because I love the software purely as an objective tool, right? I use the tool to reach my goals. And when a better tool comes along that will help me do that, I will ditch QuickBooks and go to that tool. Now, is it likely? Well, probably not. There's just so much dominance in the marketplace from QuickBooks. And this is why it's got so much criticism and why people like me and people like Hannah, as I mentioned earlier, they need to make videos saying these are some of the good things and these are some of the bad things, because many people, even in this channel, have criticized me for being a zealot of QuickBooks or being a defender of QuickBooks or being one that doesn't tell the truth about QuickBooks because I benefit from QuickBooks. And that's true. I do benefit from QuickBooks. I have clients that pay me top dollar so I can train them and teach them how to use QuickBooks. I have clients that buy QuickBooks and I get paid from Intuit when people buy QuickBooks from my link. And that's how this channel is supported. That's true. And I'm being transparent about that. But I don't do it because I make money from QuickBooks. I do it because I help small businesses get better. And right now, as long as the best possible tool that's out there to help small businesses to get better is QuickBooks, I will keep pushing and promoting QuickBooks Online or desktop. And you go through my channel, you see that I talk about all the nuances of each one, and I compare them, and I do videos on each one. And I don't do any other competitors because they just don't have them. They just don't have the competitors. In many ways, that's great. Not having competitors is great, but in many ways, not so great. I think that the blessing that Intuit has had for not having competitors has allowed them to keep increase their prices. That increase in price brings their stock up, gives them more profit. With that profit, they invest back in innovation, all a positive cycle, but not having competitors doesn't keep them in check. And unfortunately, because there isn't a real threat to the QuickBooks world, Intuit sometimes can just chill and relax about the things that they should fix, but they haven't fixed, like support. And so that piece that I mentioned, support is the part that really, truly needs to be transformed. As a matter of fact, if someone from Intuit come to me and say, Hector, come work with QuickBooks, come become an employee. And then I start working at QuickBooks and they say, okay, fix things. What would you fix? First thing I would do is I would just completely reimagine support. I improve support, create more videos branded by QuickBooks, explaining how to fix things, the stuff that I do in my channel, okay? Training their people better, paying their people more possibly to keep that talent, bringing talented people from the outside world to work in the support team. I think that this Achilles heel of support has basically exists because there's no competitors, because QuickBooks doesn't see a massive attrition and customers leaving the QuickBooks platform because of support, because unfortunately for them and fortunately for Intuit, their product is so good and is best in class and connects to so many other systems, that connects to banks, and there's so many accountants supporting it, so many accountants getting used to it. Because that exists, people overlook their big deficiencies with support and embrace everything else. And somehow, I think most people make the conscious decision that says, hey, I could go to another accounting software that might have a little bit better support, but I'm going to be short in so many other features and that sort of thing. So again, I'm trying to be as transparent as possible with you guys. There's some stuff that I might have left out. I mean, the idea was to have one definitive video where I just kind of dump all the things that I think QuickBooks is missing. And if you're interested, if you're particularly interested on the details on where I think QuickBooks falls short, check out a link in the description where I basically listed what I call my wish list, which I let every single person at Intuit know. I let every one of my colleagues know, this is what I think is wrong with QuickBooks. You got to fix this particular items. And if you agree with them, put them in the comments. If you disagree with them, put them in the comments. If you think I should add more things to that wish list, contact me and add it in the comments. It's a Google Doc. It should be very easy to work with. And once you read that document, you know that I'm serious. I'm dead serious that I really think that QuickBooks needs, especially online, needs to improve the product dramatically. QuickBooks Desktop does need to be improved, but I mean, compared to the improvements opportunities that QuickBooks Online has, I mean, it's dwarfed. So I'm very serious about wanting to make QuickBooks better, continuously make QuickBooks better, and you're going to make it better both with innovation and with support. In many ways, the reason why my YouTube channel is so popular, and the reason why I've been able to build a livelihood off the backs of my supporting small business owners and accountants that watch the YouTube channel and buy my training products and hire my company for consulting, and I've been able to do so well, with that, is because I created the alternative to QuickBooks support. Like, my YouTube channel is the answer or the antidote to the problems and shortfalls that QuickBooks support has, in such a way that people call me and say, hey, I was speaking to QuickBooks support and the lady or the guy told me, check out your videos because the answers might be there. So it just makes no flipping sense to me that such a huge company would basically not have a strong enough database of answers where the employees have to refer to some third party like myself. Now, this is a mutually benefiting relationship. QuickBooks benefits from me giving free advice and free support to the world, and I get the benefit because their support sucks. So I'm able to leverage their sucky support to create content for people to realize that you can get better support from a professional versus a software company in itself. And in many ways, I also help my colleagues because people realize that people that are third party to the software itself could be better, understand it better, find solutions better than the software company in itself can, all because of their shortfalls of support. So I'm very proud that they gave me the opportunity to do that, obviously not on purpose. And I've been able to, leverage that, and I've been able to exploit that through this YouTube channel. But those are my final words. QuickBooks needs to invest in making the product better so they can continue to control and innovate, but they really do need to invest in support. Anyway, I hope you like this video. Hit like, subscribe to the channel, Check out the links in the description below and add comments. We'd love to know what you think. Thanks.